Test. Did you hear it? Test. Test. Test.
Evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, public forum regarding agenda items only. I do have two add-ons tonight. two resolutions, one for adopting local law 2 and adopting local law 3, the ones we had the public meetings on tonight. So if there's any public comment on agenda items.
Good evening. I'm Pat Ike, currently the chairman of the Town Republican Committee. In regards to Section 15, Paragraph C of the Code of Ethics, the town has no legal authority to override the New York State election laws or the United States Constitution's First Amendment. There are phone numbers available for those that doubt the legality of any of this. But my comment is, as chairman of the Republican Committee for the town, it's interesting that those who threw around accusations of the board now want to see a policy put into effect that would illegally restrict the right of people to participate in the local government. There are many people in the town other than those already serving on the boards or in town positions, but where are they when positions are available to be filled? Now, I'm not just referring to Republicans, but all political parties within the town. The current board members and those who will be sworn in January of 24 were elected by the people of the town to act on the residents' behalf. Public input is asked at times as a courtesy. However, they are not in office to be micromanaged. If you do not like it, you have a right to your own thoughts. But when the board votes, you do have to respect their position as an elected board. Likewise, you have a responsibility to respect the Constitution and the New York State election laws, preserving the rights of all people to serve. And therefore, I recommend, as a private citizen, that that part of it not be included in the Code of Ethics. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to comment on the same thing, and I guess I'm getting different information than Pat has. But I called the Association of Towns and the Comptroller's Office, and this is what I got.
I called the comptroller's office today and didn't get. I also tried to reach out to the comptroller's office today, and I didn't get the one gentleman that I wanted to speak with. I got somebody else, and they said they were going to look into it and get back to me, and I haven't heard back from the comptroller's office.
That states the Supreme Court Appellate Division, Dedman J., held that municipalities possess ample authority under the general municipal law to enact local laws restricting municipal officers, employees, and board members from holding offices in political parties. And such prohibition on political activities enacted by town in the instance case was not in contravention of constitutional rights under the First and 14th Amendment. And this was a ruling on a case with the Town of Onondaga Board. So I also have found that the town of Clarence in Buffalo has that phrase about not being able to serve on a political committee and be an elected official and or employee of a town. They have it in their code of ethics. So I would respectfully ask that you reconsider. If there's some confusion on whether this is legal or not, put this vote off again. Thank you.
Any more public forum comments? Okay.
My name's Jim Zelani. I just have a short statement here. I said, I, James Zelani, have decided to withdraw myself from the Town of Shelby Planning Board as an alternate member at this time. Currently serving as a voting member of the Town of Shelby Republican Committee, and recent discussions surrounding ethics have caused me to reconsider serving on both committees. I would like to thank the Town of Shelby Planning Board members and the Town Board for their consideration. Thanks sincerely.
Thanks, James.
I know we've been discussing this for some time about adding that part to the ethics, about serving on both positions. And I really won't read this whole thing. I give you guys a chance to go through it. But it was brought up by the one member of the board, and I think there's real reason for it. And if you look up the current makeup of the board, most, if not all, have been appointed by the Republican committee. At least one of the board members, Steve, I know you serve on that committee. And the town highway superintendent, Dale, I know you serve on that committee. Which is the power to appoint board members to fill vacancy. And just as importantly, that board, that committee can decide to not endorse someone if they decide that they don't want them on anymore. It has denied a Republican endorsement to John Pratt, who wished to run again. And let's face it, in this town it's virtually impossible to get elected without being endorsed by the Republican committee. He ran a pretty good write-in campaign, but came up short. And that's fine, that's how elections go. But without the endorsement, it's almost impossible, and I think that's been proven. Really, one lone exception would be Darlene, who enjoyed the fact that she was an incumbent, and she probably worked harder than anybody campaigning and visited, I think, to every house in the town of Shelby and in the village. Unfortunately, in this area, like many areas of the country, people vote on party. They don't vote on who's the best person to be in that position. Democrats vote Democrat, Republicans vote Republicans, conservatives vote conservatives. If you look at the ballots, you'll see them right across the line. Doesn't matter who's running. Genghis Khan could be on some of those lines. They'd get a vote. That's not to cast aspersions by anyone on the board. It's just how people vote. As a result, the board, town board, or employee gets to choose by being part of that committee who they want to serve with. Meaning that many are chosen are friends, drinking buddies, neighbors, whomever. Not necessarily somebody that's the most qualified, but somebody that they know maybe they'd like to see that they can get along with. There's a real impact on such a process. The current board is all male. I know it changes in January. None of you live in the village. Over half the people that live in the town of Shelby live in the village, not represented by this board. This means often decisions are made what's good for the Shelby residents who live outside the village, but not for inside the village. Case in point, current discussions regarding to purchase water from Royalton. Instead of working with the village to reduce the water rate from the village, the board decided to pursue an alternative without any public hearings. If this goes through, the village will have to find a way to make up the revenue. None of the village residents who are residents of Shelby will benefit by the reduced water rate. In fact, we'll probably face increased taxes of some sort. That means the residents of Shelby will incur increased costs while the benefits go to those that live outside. We already pay for Shelby services we don't get, while those that live outside the village pay nothing to support the village services they use. This just adds more burden to all village residents, including those that live in the town of Ridgeway. These are decisions made by a board that was appointed by non-elected committee that does not truly represent the majority of the residents. When this ethics clause gets brought up, one of the excuses is it's not legal. However, I believe the material presented by Linda Lehman suggests there's an opportunity that it may be okay to pursue. These and many other issues should not be an us versus them. Let's start by making sure the town of Shelby represents all the residents, not just those that live outside the village. Thank you.
Any other public forum comments on the agenda? Nope. Okay. Old business. Ed, did you find out anything on the completion of the lighting, LED lights? Microphone.
National Grid lady at National Grid, and she hasn't called me back at all, so I'll have to keep on trying to contact her.
Okay, thanks, Ed. We move on to the highway report.
Good evening. Here it is, December, already near year's end. The department has been busy. All cemetery refuse barrels were dumped and barrels put away. Many funerals were attended to. We were able to clean up the grindings from the stumps, and we will be out in the spring to attend to lawn repairs. The men have finished putting equipment away for the winter using space provided by the town of Ridgeway. Thank you, John. Hunting season has started, and it seems to bring out more deer pickups that we have attended to. It's that season. Please drive cautiously. Helped the village with their leaf pickup. Sent the grader out to smooth Town Line Road. The generator is finally wired and functional if and when needed. And we closed off Culvert Road. Experienced a couple of snow outings. We continue with truck and equipment servicing and repairs. Worked on the flushing report. As of yesterday, we have flushed 2.3 million gallons. Of that, 1.3 million gallons on Freeman Road alone. The balance throughout the town. That number does not reflect the amount of water leaked into the creek, nor the amount on East Shelby Road. Since the third week of September, we've been without a trailer for our mini excavator. Once again, I'm asking for the board to pass a resolution to authorize the purchase of a trailer. And to end my report with the never-ending stacking of e-waste. Thank you.
The assessor's report. Julie? Miss Julie?
Good evening. I am still in the process of taking over. Trish will be retiring the end of the year. Exemption forms and renewals have been printed and will be in the mail at the end of the month and are due back by March 1st. That's about it.
You said March 1st was deadline for most everything?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Planning board.
At our last planning board meeting, we had some agenda or some appointments that had to be redone. Jerry Valesco's term ends this year. I don't see that on the agenda tonight, so I assume it's going to be done on the year-end meeting. be reappointed. The other one, which I'm sorry to hear, was going to be for Jim Zelani's reappointment, but he's pulled his application. So I'm going to ask the town clerk to run an ad in the paper again for 2 or 3 weeks. This will be probably the third or fourth time that I've had to run the application for this. Also, I did request myself as being put on the county planning board again. I see that on the agenda tonight. And also, we requested that Dan Wolf be the alternate to the county planning board. And I see that on the agenda tonight too. So, and that's it.
Thank you, Kirk. Yeah, that other appointment we'll do at the end of the year meeting. The first one you were talking about?
Jerry Valesco.
Yeah, I just didn't have that scheduled here. I didn't see that till I came in tonight.
Okay.
Code enforcement, Mr. Dan?
Code enforcement report for the end of the year, November and the end of the year. This year I have done 38 building permits total. 18 of those have been closed out with either a certificate of compliance or a certificate of occupancy. 20 remain open. November I issued 5 building permits, 3 for decks, 1 demo permit, and 1 new single-family dwelling, which makes 3 new single-family dwellings total for this year. We're getting back up there. When I first started 15 years ago, there were 5 or 6 a year, and it kind of waned away, but now it's people are starting to build houses. I issued 3 violation letters in November, 2 for exterior properties not being kept in a clean and sanitary condition, and 1 for a roof that's in need of repair. I worked 6 days in November, plus 3, total of 9, 3 makeup days for the time I was on vacation. I did receive a phone call message from Councilman Schiffer asking about a certain, I guess the board had a concern about this, a property on Maple Ridge Road that was, they had some complaints. I have violated this person December 5th, and I'll give Mr. Schiffer, Councilman Schiffer, this violation letter. It was sent out. Does the board have any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dan. All right, resolutions. A resolution to approve the town board public hearing meeting minutes, November 9th. Preliminary budget. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay? Approved. Resolution to approve the town board public hearing minutes, November 14th, preliminary budget. Is there a motion? A second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Nay? That's approved. Resolution to approve town board meeting minutes for November 14th. Is there a motion?
So move.
A second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? Nay? Approved. Resolution to approve town board public hearing minutes, November 20th. Preliminary budget. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Nay? It's approved. Resolution to approve town board public hearing, November 20th, Code of Ethics. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes. Resolution to approve town board special meeting minutes November 20th. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second. Don't worry about it.
Steve. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Resolution to approve the town clerk's report for November. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed. Resolution to approve supervisor's report for August. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I got a question regarding the report. No, this is August. We're September, October, and November.
We're still working on it.
Now, the end of the year is at the end of the month here. Are we gonna be able to close out the end of the year without the supervisors' reports?
They're fixing the final codes that they messed up. Remember I briefed you guys on their codes? We'll be able to close out the books. It won't be an issue.
So they'll be
Oh.
all done by the end of the year then?
Yes. The supervisor reports?
Yes.
Possibly to be done by the end of the year.
Well, then we can't.
You can't close out the year.
Are they gonna be finished, Miranda? Yes, they'll be finished. I was out for a week, so I don't know what. Give me a second here, let me catch this. Where were we? Discussion, right? On the supervisor report?
Yep.
Okay. Any further discussion on the supervisor's report? Did that answer your question, Ted?
Yep.
Okay. We got resolutions. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution passed. Resolution to approve the pay claims against the town. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution passed. Okay, other resolutions. A resolution to set year-end meeting. Is there a motion? Yes, I was just gonna ask you, what's the date? December 28th at 7 p.m. Is there a motion for that?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed. Resolution to set organizational meeting. When is that? January 9th, 6 p.m. Before the board meeting. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
A second?
I'll second.
Pick one, all three of them did it, some people. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed. Resolution for the highway superintendent to enter into a snow agreement with the State of New York DOT for the 2023-2024 year. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, what kind of numbers will the town be getting from the state for doing this?
The
It all depends on the winter that we have and what the state of New York determines the percentage is. So it could be as high as 93,000. Last year, I think we were paid 65, 66,000.
You good with that, Ed?
Yep, good.
Any further discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed. Resolution to appoint Kirk Myhill to the County Planning Board, County Planning Board, the term expiring 12/31/2027. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
No second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed. Resolution to appoint Dan Wolf as the alternate to the County Planning Board.
Make a motion.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed. Resolution to adopt local law number 2, local law to provide senior citizen tax exemption pursuant to real property tax law 467 and define income limits for the same. Is there a motion?
I make a motion. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution passed. Resolution to adopt local law number 3, a local law providing for a partial exemption from real property taxes to persons with disabilities and limited incomes pursuant to real property tax law 459C and define income limits for the same. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed. Resolution to adopt a code of ethics. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to accept.
Is there a second? All right, it's open for discussion.
Okay, on this code of ethics, we're back and forth. If we vote, I believe that Mr. Sykes should recuse himself because he's actively involved in both conditions. Both sides of the fence, if you want to call it that. So I believe he should recuse himself from the vote.
Okay, what justification you got for that?
That he's sitting on both, he gets benefit from one, from the other.
Didn't you do the same thing for the last 4 years as a board member on the Republican committee,
As in,
making decisions?
You were on the committee for 4 years like I was.
right, and if, Pat would probably verify this, that I, at one meeting, sat up there and said that there was 3 of us that probably shouldn't be on the board. We had one meeting, and there was 3 of us there, and I suggested that all 3 of us resign from the committee. And Dale Rutt said he would resign. Steve Seitz said he would resign. And I also said I would resign. But nothing ever became of it except myself. I resigned from the committee when I was
Not endorsed.
done. Not endorsed, exactly.
Okay, so what, last board meeting, the four of you agreed to this,
Beg your pardon, Scott.
when I was out here with Mr. Bracy, when I walked back into the office, Kathy was there, you four agreed to, informed me that you were all good with excusing yourselves from votes, board members, for anything that came. I specifically asked you and Ed, and you said yes, you were good with that if they recused themselves from voting. Do you remember that? Do you remember that, Jeff?
Yes.
You remember that, Steve?
I remember that.
Do you remember that, Kathy?
Discussion on it.
Quiet, this is a board discussion.
So this provision, as we discussed after the last public hearing that I attended when this issue was brought up, was that we would add a provision to the law that required board members to recuse themselves from political party votes that dealt with filling a vacancy to an elected town of Shelby position. It was a recusal, not an outright prohibition. There's nothing in the law that prohibits officers from a municipal board from also serving on the political committee. It's not prohibited under state law, but the case law that was provided, and there's also another comptroller's opinion from 2007 that relies on that case that says municipalities can choose to do that, but it's not prohibited for these individuals to also serve on whatever local political committee they wish to serve on. So if the town board wants to impose that restriction, they can. Or they can do what they've done here, which is to say they can still serve, but they'd have to recuse themselves from voting when it involves elected town of Shelby positions. That's what we're saying in the Code of Ethics is required, that you would have to recuse yourself from voting as a political committee member. Not voting on this board, but voting on the political committee board. You would recuse yourself if you're an officer of the town of Shelby, when it affects the town of Shelby.
You're talking about recusing yourself on the committee or the town board?
I'm talking about recusing themselves from voting as a member of the Republican or Democratic committees.
No. Neither one, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, people, it's a board discussion. I don't want to, I'm not trying to be.
So the town board is authorized by statute to appoint individuals to fill vacancies on the town board. So they can't recuse that. They're required to do that under state law. What the town can do, and they don't have to because it's not prohibited. There's no restriction in the state constitution or the state law that says you can't do both. So you are allowed under state law and under the state constitution right now to do both, unless the town decides to do something else that's more restrictive than what you're allowed to do under the state law. So instead of saying can't serve on both, what the town board has drafted or asked me to draft into this law is that the town board members will recuse themselves from political committee votes, not from town board votes.
Well, the committee has 8 members on it. So say Steve couldn't vote, so that still leaves 7 members, plus they vote weighted votes, which they get different, it's different, numbers of votes on each district they're in. So, I mean, it really isn't going to make any difference if he recuses himself or not, as far as I'm concerned. None at all.
What right do we as an individual have to tell somebody they can't volunteer to be doing something like that? I mean, and now you're gonna say, okay, we can't vote on this, and I wanna volunteer to, because my time to be on the committee. Well, suppose you wanna volunteer your time to work at the hospital, or be a fireman. Now, that's all volunteer. And, like Pat Ike said there, that, I don't see a lot of people stepping up to the plate to get on these committees. I mean, it's open to them. If they don't want to get out there, that's their prerogative, but I don't think you can restrict somebody from volunteering to doing something.
No, it was brought up that Town of Clarence had this. Our lawyer, she just sat there, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is a local law done by the board. Now the board can make this law and include this. That's my take. Here, I'll read what it says in the Clarence one under section 15. It says, no elected town official shall serve as an elected or appointed officer of a political party during the official's term of office with the town. So it seems to me that we've got, Ridgeway has along the same lines, Clarence has along the same lines, and if we need to do the same thing.
Barry doesn't.
And a lot of other towns don't. A lot of other towns don't.
Yeah, but aren't we the town of Shelby? We're not the town of Clarence, or the town of Barry, or the town of Ridgeway. So we should be able to make our own rules. We're not making rules to follow the town of Barry.
Well, exactly, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Thanks for doing that. That's exactly what I'm saying. We're making our rules as we go along. This is something we need to do.
So what you're saying, John, is you want no political affiliation for any member on this board, for any committee?
That's what it comes down to.
And a town employee also. Politics needs to stay out of the town. That's what the problem is, I think, in Shelby.
You got anything, Jeff?
I guess I don't know what the issue is, really. I mean, have we had a problem? There is a problem?
It's up to you guys. It's up to you guys.
Was this in here, recusing, or you want to take it out? Or do you want?
I don't want.
What do you mean you don't want to take it out?
I want it to stay like
Like it is right now, with the recusal.
I think we should table it till a new board in January. We got a new board member coming on for a 4-year term, and she should have a say in it.
Jeff, do you want to leave the recusal in there, or no? Steve said leave the recusal
I'm
in
just
there.
trying to hear somebody explain to me where the issue is, or what caused this to come about.
John and Ed, you guys both want it out. You don't want any political affiliation. You don't want the recusal.
No. No, not at all.
You're good with the recusal? Are you good with the recusal, Jeff?
Yep.
You can ask for a motion and ask for a vote.
Yep.
I think,
It's truly up to you guys.
Oh, we're already at the discussion. We already did a motion, so.
and I actually think that seeing it'll be reflective upon 2024 board, that I think it should be held off until the next meeting.
Not right now.
All in favor of passing the code of ethics as it is written?
Then in my mind, it'll be a bogus vote if
Recusal, would affect Steve Sykes. All right, all in favor of passing the code of ethics, local law 1, 2023, local law establishing code of ethics, town of Shelby, with the recusal. Section 15, paragraph C, no municipal officer or employee while serving as an elected appointed town officer or employee participate or vote in connection with the position of a local political party to fill any vacancy of elected town of Shelby position. All in favor of the code of ethics, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let's do a roll call vote, yes. Jeff Schiffer.
Aye.
Steve Sykes.
Aye.
John Pratt.
nay.
Ed Delaney.
Nay.
Scott Wentworth. Aye. The resolution passes. Law passes.
It's a democracy. The majority rules, not the minority.
Yeah.
Through your head.
Okay, that's all the resolutions. I will now open it up to board comments. Jeff,
Nothing.
Steve,
I don't have anything at this time.
John.
Well, seeing it's my last major board meeting, got a little statement here I'd like to read. Okay, I'll talk a little louder here. As I conclude my term as your councilman, I extend my sincerest thanks to the people of Shelby. My time spent in this role has been one of deep commitment and at times profound concern. I've observed practices within our town administration that deeply disturb me. Town leadership's repeated efforts to withhold critical information from both the public and to council members undermines the essence of the democratic process. This habit of keeping things secret and isolating people goes against promises made to the voters of being collaborative, open, and honest. The use of isolation tactics in Shelby involves deliberately excluding certain employees or officials from key information, decision-making processes, and operational involvement, leading to a divided and unproductive work environment. It worries me to see actions that sidestep proper municipal procedures and raise serious questions about our town's administrative integrity. I've attended meetings beyond the town's borders to understand the interactions between Shelby and other municipalities. These experiences have only deepened my concerns, especially regarding both the supervisor and the highway superintendent's spending decisions and tactics to influence board decisions through improperly noticed meetings or private emails. I will wrap up with this quote attributed to Winston Churchill. You have enemies? Good. That means you've stood up for something sometime in your life. With that being said, I would like to thank the residents of Shelby for supporting me while on the board. Shelby's future depends on your informed and active participation. Thank you once again for your trust and support.
Thank you, John. Ed? I do have, Darlene, did you make the historian report? Did you make copies? Did you make copies for the public? Okay. We'll make copies. Town historian did a report on what she did this year, if you guys are interested in it. I just saw this today. So, is it? Yeah, it's a lot to read. No, I'll read it. Okay. Historian report for the town board of 2023, January 30th. Usually spend Sundays, Mondays in the Shelby historian's office, being I was newly accepted as a new historian taking Alice Zacker's place. I didn't go into historian's office until January. Spent 3 hours on familiarizing myself with all the files and where everything is, and organizing Shelby's files, historic items, etc. And the town of Ridgway's, being we now share the same office. February 15th, 3 hours as new Shelby historian Alice Zacher, former historian, offered her assistance to me regarding files and how she organized all historical items and how to do historical searches for individuals. Where to find online websites that help in that regard locally. 2 hours on email, phone genealogy, and locations research. March 26th, 2 hours at the Shelby Historian Office with Catherine Cooper. And then to the town of Ridgway History Museum to receive some local books on local history. Also, MHS Secretary, I received a request to search on a woman's fathers in one of our yearbooks. We didn't have the year she wanted. And she is also the town historian for the town of Ridgway. April 6th, 3 hours spent on research of a house requested by an owner located on Saltworks Road. This request for the year built and builder was passed on to me from the town clerk, Darlene Rich. 2 hours spent on writing up research and personally dropping it off from the woman requesting information on her home. May 21st, 3 hours answering emails sent to me, the Shelby historian. On genealogy, research into local cemeteries for ancestors, local residents buried there, by relatives living out of state. June 26th, 2 to 3 hours on the phone and email, answering questions, locations, places, genealogy. July 9th, 2 hours on updating files, doing research, responding to requests. Was on vacation last week, June 27th, and July 16th, the whole week. August 6th, 4 hours, display case was changed. Worked many hours. Total on a search on a local home, when it was built, and if it was part of the Underground Railroad. She was on vacation the third week in August. September 17th, 3 hours on a search request from a lady from out of town, a cemetery search locally for where her grandmother may have been buried. Most research I do is at home on the computer. Week off for family medical reasons. October and November, courtroom was being painted inside, could not get into the historian office, and then the court carpeting was changed and couldn't get into the office as well. December 4th, 3 hours, changing the display case to Christmas theme. Met with Alice Zacher on how to give year-end historian report, updated the files, and display files. Have clipped historical articles from the old hometown newspaper for 2023 and filed. Respectfully submitted, Shane Sia, Town of Shelby historian. Well, thank you, Shane. It's a nice report. All right, board comments. I'll open it up for public comments.
Brian Murray, you guys got the budget done, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what's our tax rate gonna be per thousand?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to look at the clerk has the budget. Yes, in her office, yeah. Do you remember what it was, Miranda? Off the top of your head? Yeah, it is on the website.
I don't have a computer.
Oh. Okay.
You know, 'cause it's supposed to go down quite a considerable rate after you raised the assessments and stuff.
It went way down. You got it? Okay.
Alan Bushover. I'd like to take this moment.
Okay, Brian, town tax rates are as follows. Townwide was $4 in 2023. Oh, the total?
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, we can only give you the town rate because we don't know the county rate. I'm sorry, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Go ahead.
Okay, and further on, I know the town board this year has gone through a lot of changes with personnel, situations, so on and so forth. But I'd like to take this moment to publicly thank John Pratt for his service on the board. I think he's done an excellent job. We're going to miss you, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
So I just have a question from the last board meeting, after you passed the budget. I was wondering what the balance in the fund balance account is after the 2024 budget.
Was that the email you sent me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I haven't gotten that. I was out for a week sick.
Can you tell me when I got it?
When can we do that, Miranda? Okay. Actually, yeah, okay. Let's work on Friday.
Okay. And then you mentioned earlier when you were talking about the supervisor's report, you said there was some discussion. Can you elaborate on that?
It was the same thing I read at that board meeting where the Williamson, they got rid of the lady who put in set up her account and did it all wrong.
But so was it fixed for August? Because you approved the August report.
Yes, it was
so
fixed for August, right? Yes, it was fixed for August. What? Oh, I thought you were saying something. Yes, it was fixed for August.
So I'm just wondering if it was correct, if everything is mapped correctly for August, why would there be no September and October report and technically November? Okay.
It's still manual enter.
Okay. Well, I just want to point out that, again, in one of my conversations with the Association of Towns, I'm just concerned if this report is what's giving the board for financial information to know how the town is running, if it's not being produced, I would wonder how the board knows that you're on track for the budget and where you stand financially. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Senior Albion get power put up. Amount of money they were get from water infrastructure. Talk further away, maybe.
There you go, that worked.
Okay. 1.39 million from the Water Infrastructure Improvement Act, 1.25 million state grant, community development block grant. The Water Infrastructure Improvement Act is also covering 60% of a $166,000 or $99,000 towards that, which leaves a balance of $66,000 to be collected on the water bill. $312,000 State Department of Health and $76,000 from the America Rescue Plan Act. So I'm just curious, number one, if the board and or the highway superintendent is aware of all these different grants and sources of help for increasing the water districts for the town of Shelby, and did we apply either successfully or unsuccessfully towards that goal. Just putting it out there. They were successful. Talked a bit last time. I know Dale is requesting a new trailer, and I had asked if that was any of those quotes and or whichever one you decided on was a Sourcewell quote. I did look on Sourcewell's website. Town of Shelby is a member of Sourcewell. Your account number is 103595. I want to extemporize it on that a little bit and also remind the board that it's not just for road equipment and things of that nature. It can be used to purchase office supplies, cleaning supplies, payment processing, supervisor report software. Just in the act of assuring we're not overpaying, again, these are substantial savings that the town can take part in because you are a member. So if you can keep that in mind when you need things, make sure those vendors are Sourcewell vendors. I just wanted to mention quick, kind of going old school here, back when we were doing the budget, and we're all kind of hunting around, what page are you on, that kind of thing. If there's ever a consideration of getting either a projector or a screen, some way to, put information up on the wall, maybe behind you or over here or something, just so that, the general public can follow along with some of those more difficult processes. And I think that would be helpful. That's it. Thanks.
Hi, Marguerite Sherman. As a representative for the Village of Medina and the liaison for the town of Shelby, I want to address the board regarding water. There has been talk around town for a couple months now that representatives from the town of Shelby have made statements saying that the Village of Medina has not responded to requests for meetings to address water rates. According to Mayor Sidari, and I have his permission to address, this has not happened. If we have missed these attempts, please provide us with dates you have reached out and the methods you have used to reach out. In the meantime, I just want to say that I'm very disappointed to hear that you are potentially contracting with Royalton for water without sitting down with village officials first. We have been your supplier for water, and we are always open to discussions. We are a close-knit community who should be working together to benefit all of our taxpayers. Please be truthful and transparent. I understand that there is now a scheduled meeting on January 4th. It's 2 of our village trustees, supervisor, superintendent. I don't know. Okay, is there a board member coming too? Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. I am just hoping that, I know you're going to discuss water rates and past due amounts. I hope you will approach this meeting in good faith, and I hope that everyone can just be transparent with their people and the people they are representing. Thank you.
Thank you, Marguerite.
the water rates and the water situation that you've been discussing this evening. There's been mention made by Mr. Hemingway of the village taxpayers and the fact that they have invested in a great deal of infrastructure that benefits the entire area. There's an 18-inch water main coming in from Niagara County that has been financed over the years, probably since 1960, by bonding by the village taxpayers. For your information, and I hope this is useful to you, the town of Shelby receives in its assessments over $38 million of assessed valuation from businesses that are supported in the town of Shelby itself and in the village of Medina, town of Shelby. Those businesses are located here because of the infrastructure, including the water that runs along the business park. I wanted that in your mind as you move forward. I don't believe there's anything wrong in going out and looking at other options, and I don't want you to think that I believe that. But I also believe that you have to give due consideration to the other taxpayers who have funded what you are receiving in assessed valuation because the village of Medina supplies water and sewer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Larry, I had an answer for you on something. I don't remember what it is right now. Something you had. No, something you just mentioned to me. The screen projector is good. Was a good idea. Getting a TV or something. No, the Sourcewell. Yeah, we do that. You said something about Albion Water.
The tower grants. Right?
Oh, yeah,
Grants.
that's what it was. The grants. We've got a engineering firm working on, is that Water 13? Water 13. And when they figure out whatever they're going to do, the engineering firms, that's what they're paid to do. They apply for all the grants through the USDA. Anyone that we can get grants through, they handle all of that. So
Different from the gentleman that was here back in March and gave the big $22 million.
no, it's the same. That's them. That's the firm. Yeah, that's our engineering firm. And they'll no telling how long it takes for that to get done, but they apply for all the grants. Anyone else have any comments?
I guess just to answer, I know, Jeff, that you asked a question, why was this necessary regarding the ethics? You didn't see the problem, but I think the vote that was taken just now, passing that, explains everything. You were appointed. I know you won an election afterward, but appointed by that committee. Supervisor was appointed by that same Republican committee and ran unopposed. Steve, you were appointed years ago to replace your son. John was appointed and then denied an endorsement. The only one I'm not sure of, and Ed would have to answer that, whether you were appointed also. 3 people that voted for this ethic the way it is, did not want to make it and take it further as been requested, were all appointed by that committee. I'm all for democracy, but being appointed by an unelected committee, to me, is not democracy. Thank you, and that's the problem.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Ike? Nothing from the legislature? All right. there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Second? Did you get Eddie? Okay.
I second. I thought you said Eddie.
No, Eddie. Oh, Eddie did the motion. Okay, all right. All right. All in favor of adjourning the meeting? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.